Hello everybody, it's Andy and I'm here today to talk to you about our new rules update for Event 2 of Divided We Fall. We're about a month away and we've put together some new rules and clarifications in response to your feedback. Not everything that was fed back has been addressed within this update. Some things may be available in the game as a little secret for you to find out about, or research, or discover yourself. One of those things. So, first thing we're going to talk about is states. There are currently 2 character states. You are alive and helpful and running around with HP, and you are on your death count. Technically there's a third one, you're dead, but, you know, that one's fairly self-explanatory. Wounded is a new state. It comes in between the I'm walking around and helping and doing all of my skills and abilities, and I'm on my death count and can't do anything. The wounded state allows you to move. It will allow you to move very slowly, but if you use any skill, ability, call, attack, defend, or a hit again, you know, take more damage with it when you're in that wounded state, you go to your death count. This is intended to be that moment in video games where your character is, you know, really, really low on health, barely anything else. You're moving slowly. You've got all your limbs are injured. You know, the screen's gone completely grayscale, but you're not quite dead yet. It's that moment that we're trying to replicate there. And it will allow for some great role-playing opportunities, or just allow you to move slowly out of the way of the oncoming of a fight towards help, if necessary, but still with a chance of danger. So you don't immediately go from I'm fine to I'm dropped. This will change the way that the drug overdrive works, but only slightly. Previously, overdrive allowed you to act normally for 60 seconds after reaching 0 hit points. This will be the same. You will not become wounded. However, instead of at the end of the 60 seconds you becoming wounded, you immediately go onto your death count. Because you've used the drug to push yourself beyond the necessary thing. So, it might need a little bit of rewording when we get to that stage. But essentially, if you're on overdrive, you continue as normal when you would become wounded. But once those 60 seconds of pushing beyond has happened, you go down to your death count. Okay. The next state is unconscious. When unconscious, you fall to the floor or slump in a way that is safe for you to do so, and for those around you. You cannot communicate in any way, use any skills or abilities. You also, when you hit your death count, you also become unconscious. When you are treated with things like adrenaline, returned to a wounded state, or return to 1 hit point or more, you can regain consciousness. It's just a way of, you know, giving wounded a little bit more of a thing, and allowing for some new, some expected roleplay things that we've had in lots of different LARPs, but we haven't actually codified in DWF yet. We now have. So, this is a bit of clarification for weapon and armor upgrades for crafting. Inventors, your crafting upgrades, you don't have to immediately apply to a weapon. You can make a kit, as it were, for you to apply to a weapon or armor in the field. So you can make yourself a collapse upgrade kit or a rend upgrade kit, just to say, you know, which it might even be just like you've lined up nails on a bit of duct tape that you've folded up carefully so that when the time comes you can just slap it onto a sword or whatever you need to do. It will take about 10 seconds to apply them to an item in the field at a bind inventor, but you can prepare these ahead of time if you need them. When applying them to the melee weapons, we are now changing them from lasting an hour to 6 uses of the wielder's choice. These should be role-played with big swing, cinematic blows, allowing the monsters or your opponents to react appropriately and help resolve the effect as intended. We found that having them last for every swing for an hour was really... Well, it was really not fun, and it really dialed down the danger of it. But we didn't want they will now last for a long time, but you only get 6 uses of for each. You can still stack effects, so you can put a collapse and a rend call on your weapon. You have to track those separately, so good luck with that. But if you were to put a new, if you had 3 uses of collapse left on your weapon and you put a new kit on it, the new kit doesn't add 6 more uses, it would just reset to 6. Okay? So, as stated, when the weapon user may choose when a call is used, it doesn't have to be the first 6 or consecutive hits. Uses are not lost at the end of a fight, at the end of the day, or the end of the game. Okay? If your armour has been upgraded to resist the call, it is used as soon as it has been hit by the relevant call. So, weapons, you get to choose when to use it. Armour, it protects you from it automatically. So, you've got 6 resists of resist collapse, but they will be used automatically because it's not you swinging it in a particular way. It's your armour is protecting you from it. Okay. Suppressing fire. We've had a lot of fun with suppressing fire. We really like it. We found that it was a little bit too much. We were too keen with how cool it is. We still think that this new wording is really cool, but balances it out a little bit so one person doesn't take all the fun from everyone else. So, suppressing fire is still a crafted item, but it's more like a belt of ammunition or a box that you can load in rather than it's a suppressing fire weapon. Okay? Suppressing fire now lasts only 30 seconds, but everyone within 10 meters in front of the user in a rough cone takes 1 point of damage every 3 seconds they remain in the line of fire. And that's 10 meters out. So you can still hold down a corridor for about 30 seconds, but eventually you're going to run out of ammo and you've got to come up with a plan. That 30 seconds could be all of your mates behind you gearing up to be able to take out the enemy, or it could be, you coming up with an escape plan. But you are still holding an area for 30 seconds. Okay. Stealth Shiv. Now this is something that's quite fun. It is a one-use crafted item that is used to kill enemies in a quiet and stealthy manner. Blueprints are out there for how you can make these things. They are quite expensive, so you might need some resource management, but it's probably worth it. They will affect clickers, but not bloaters. Bloaters are too much to go on with them. The instructions on how to safely use a stealth shiv, and I must point out this is a stealth weapon. If you get caught, it might not work at all. Will be with the blueprints. Okay. So, as you might have noticed at the end of the event, we introduced a new call, which was called Mega Boom. This has been codified in these new rules. We have also said that Mega is the area is also an area of effect call. So any call can be modified by the word mega. So if you hear mega collapse, that means that everyone within 3 meters of where the call is originating from falls down and reacts to a collapse. Mega fatal, everyone within 3 meters of the point of origin takes fatal. Okay. Boom, which was introduced before first event to allow for more fun with grenades, is targets within 1 meter of point of origin take 3 points of damage and collapse. Mega Boom is targets within 1 meter of point of origin take fatal, and everyone within 3 meters of point of origin take 3 points of damage and collapse. It's slightly different to how Mega works with other calls, but it's because we wanted to really represent a massive explosion that should pretty much kill someone in the immediate vicinity of the bomb or the explosion. Okay. Along with unconscious, we're also introducing the call of subdue, which indicates non-lethal blows. When a player loses their last hit to a subdue call, they become unconscious. This will last for 30 seconds or however long your death count is inverted. That sounds complicated. So for the moment, until we can work out a better wording, we're going to say this lasts for 30 seconds. When you are subdued into unconsciousness, you are unconscious for 30 seconds. Okay? Cool. So we've got a couple of new skills as well. The first two are for everyone. Everyone has access to these skills regardless of what character that they are playing. Let's Take It Outside. Let's Take It Outside is a way for a player to initiate combat or a fight or a conflict with an NPC that is inside the safe zone. We still want to maintain the safe zone. We still we like how that sort of worked last time. Still going to be a few changes in the future, but we liked the intent of it. Let's Take It Outside is in a way of you being able to interact with those that have come into the NPCs that have come into the thing and say, look, this is not going the way that you're thinking this is. Let's go outside and settle this. So, when you use this on a single NPC, you tell them, let's take this outside. They are compelled to follow you outside of the safe area. This mechanic is as the wording says, this mechanic is intended to allow the player's opportunity to initiate combat with NPCs who are currently inside the safe zone. This skill only targets and compels a single NPC, but does not stop any of their mates following them. A particularly strong-willed NPC might be able to resist this skill. They will tell you no effect. Obviously, this is intended for NPCs that can understand you. So it probably won't work on infected. The second one is something that is an accessibility feature for the game. We're calling it the Lucky Escape. This call is intended for use as an accessibility feature and must not be used to gain a mechanical benefit. It is to allow everyone to participate in high combat encounters which would otherwise be fatal because of out-of-character considerations like mobility. This skill cannot be used to escape from hopeless situations like being trapped in a room with no way out or being completely surrounded. It cannot be used to prevent damage that would definitely affect someone who could sprint away quickly, like being hit by a suppressing fire at point blank range or being in an explosion. There is no limit to the number of times you can use the skill, however. If you find yourself in a situation where your character could escape, but you can't due to mobility issues, for example, processing speed, or any other physical or cognitive issue, you may put your finger in the air and move out of the danger area without taking damage. You may either immediately return to the safe zone, I've escaped the encounter entirely and gone, which, if you're out of the compound or base area on an excursion, on a mission away from base, it's probably a good way of doing it, because then it adds drama of what happened to them. You may either immediately return to the safe zone, or you may rejoin the encounter from a point clearly outside of danger after 2 minutes. So you've done your thing, you've stuck your finger in the air, I'm using Lucky Escape, you go off. It's not go around the corner and wait 2 minutes and then come back. It's, say you're in one of the long corridors, you go all the way down to the end of the corridor and, round the corner, completely out of the combat situation, maybe even go out into the F block courtyard, for example, where there isn't a combat happening, and then you can wait a couple of minutes, come back in. It's like you've been dodging and weaving and whatnot. If you choose to engage in high combat encounters, you accept that there is a high chance that you will be hit due to the fast-paced nature of encounters. If it is not safe or fun for you, we strongly advise that you do not engage in high combat encounters. Okay? We recognise that low-com rules often force people to play games on hard mode. We designed this rule specifically to make combat accessible and less unfairly deadly for those who can't quite move as fast as the rest of us, or have twisted their ankle weeks ago and are still recovering from it, or just haven't had a coffee that morning. We don't expect it to be used by people who are already, fully mobile and whatnot, had forgotten their coffee that morning. We also recognise that not all disabilities are visible, and we will not ask you for justification. If you think this skill is appropriate for you, we will believe you. We will be monitoring its use, however, because we still want to maintain an air of danger in our game. And if it becomes too easy to get out of encounters, then we are failing at being a survival horror LARP. Okay? So, we realised that there was some confusion about scientists and medics. Medics and scientists were referred to throughout the rules, but never really in the sense of a first aider. Combat medic, as you might imagine in other role-playing games. That's on us. We had conflated the two in our own heads and didn't really make it clear what the difference was. Whereas, scientist is more of a researcher. But then we were running it as like the doctor's laboratory and whatnot. So we are allowing scientists to pick a path. Either you are explosives and like chemical engineers, or they're going down the first aid route, which is the more I'm a doctor, I'm here to stitch people together sort of route. So you choose character creation, either explosive use or first aid, and then you can grow your paths from there. So, first aid. What is first aid? First aid is with 30 seconds of appropriate roleplay, you can stop an unconscious person's death count so that they become conscious and wounded. During that time you are role-playing on someone that has fallen unconscious and is on their death count, their death count is paused, and should you be interrupted significantly, like you're being attacked, or not just, I'm covering the body to protect from an quick explosion or whatnot, a significant attack, so you were directly attacked, not just the odd bullet going near you. If that sort of interruption happens, their death count resumes from where it was. Once 30 seconds of appropriate roleplay has been done, they are now no longer unconscious and they are in the wounded state. If you continue to triage and bandage them up and stitch up their wounds and whatnot for a further 30 seconds, they'd go from wounded to 1 hit point. You can also use this on a wounded character to deal with their wounds, treat their wounds, and after 30 seconds of roleplay, restore them to 1 hit point. This first aid doesn't have any effect on a person with 1 or more hit points, because it gets you back to that stage, but it doesn't require any resources, so other than, some appropriate roleplay tools, maybe, a fake sewing kit for stitches or bandages or whatnot. Okay? These are not carded items. Adrenaline. Let's talk about adrenaline. So now that we've added in the wounded state, how does adrenaline work? Well, adrenaline skips the wounded state. It will still restore a dying character to 1 hit point instantly by bypassing the wounded state, and they still roleplay that effect of, I've just been hit with adrenaline, I love everything, I've just chugged 60 Red Bulls. This bypasses the wounded state, leaving adrenaline to be quite a powerful item now, but now that there's the wounded state and first aid, it's not the only way of picking people up from being on their death count. We were asked a lot about traps. So inventors can make and use different traps, as well as disarm traps. These are created from resources, and traps are activated when anyone who isn't an inventor moves into touching distance of the trigger mechanism. A standard trap has been added to the upgrade list. To set a trap, you've got to tell a referee. You can't just go out there, set a trap, and then if the refs don't know where it is, what's going on, and what you've done, then it's unlikely that the NPCs will. So the basic trap that we've added in is a tripwire. It's 2 scrap metal and 2 wire. The first person that comes into contact with this trap takes a point of damage and collapse. They've tripped over and smashed their face into the ground. 1 use, job done. There may be other traps. That might be a research project. If only we knew someone who did a lot with traps. Okay. So, finally, we've got some clarifications. So, repairing armor. Restoring hits to armor only requires an inventor to perform appropriate roleplay. So, using your tools to pull bullets out of the Kevlar, stitching the things, readjusting the straps, bashing your helmet back into shape, all that sort of thing. Just as long as appropriate roleplay, appropriate tools. Let's not use the back of daggers to try and hammer flat something. If you've got a hammer, use a hammer. That sort of thing. However, just appropriate roleplay, 30 seconds or so is our sort of go-to thing to repair armor to normal. You can do more, you can do less if you want, but, around 30 seconds is appropriate. Repairing an armor or a weapon that has been destroyed by the calls rend or shatter, however, require the crafted items, armor repair or weapon repair kits. These are breaks that are not just quick repairs or something that will just take a little bit of time. These are intense things. You're going to need, a lot of glue, a lot of resin, that sort of thing to fix these things. Obviously, these crafted items can also be used to instantly repair armor just by slapping it on the back of someone. Just, let all the glue go over things. That will do it instantly as well, but you do have the option of not having to make an armor repair kit for those sort of things. Distraction items, such as bricks or things. If you huck a brick around in your yard or on the pavement a little bit, it will eventually break. So, distraction items, these may become destroyed after repeated use from now on. Okay? So bear that in mind. when you're jogging around looking for bricks. You might need some to ration their use a bit more. Clickers and bloaters operate by echolocation. They will move aggressively towards noise, and you've seen this. If they encounter a person in the way or around the source of a noise, they will attack. You must think of them more like bats. They're not completely blind, but they are mostly blind and working on echolocation. However, if they are close enough to hear you breathing, they will attack you. You must make an effort to move out of the path of an echolocating infected to avoid damage. Staying completely still in the middle of a corridor, doing the robot or whatever, won't keep you safe if they walk into... if you're directly in their path, they will just go through you and realise that you're there and smash you. Also, constant noise that attracts an echolocating infected's attention will cause them to become more agitated and angrier and make them more likely to charge. They are more likely to, they realise that something is going on in the area and become more aggressive and whatnot. So ultimately, being quiet is your best defence. But if you need to distract them to allow them to get away, you've got to weigh the cost up there. You can still use your lucky escape skill to avoid taking damage this way as an accessibility feature. If OOC or issues stop you from escaping a situation where someone else could conceivably escape, you should use lucky escape. This will not work if you're literally backed into a corner. Tight space, no valid escape path. Again, it follows the rules of lucky escape. So, that's our E2 rules update. I hope you enjoy. I hope this answers some of the questions that have been raised from E1. And we look forward to seeing you in July. I'm Andy, and thank you again, and we will see you soon.